Alright, so we have our vehicle. We want to begin the mapping of it. A technique that's often used is taking and putting on a checker texture so you can see where the deformations in the texture are and what needs to be improved. So if there's tweaking you want to do before you begin that process, go ahead and make it, because you definitely once you start it, if you go back and model some more, it's going to mess up. So decide, make sure you're finished, and once you're finished, then we can begin this process. And alright, so let's go ahead and create a new material, Lambert, and I'm going to create a checker texture, and on that checkers place 2D node, I want to take the repeat up to about 20. And notice that there are some areas that don't have any checker, and then you have the other ones where they're moving, and what needs to happen is they need to look square, and none of these look square, so this is not even close to being right. So we take our texture here, and we're going to redo this whole thing. So if we were to apply an image like the texture, you notice that it's very distorted. So UV mapping is taking out that distortion so that these checkers will be as square and even as possible. Sometimes it's not completely possible, but you want to get as close as you can. So one way to do that is to think about, if this were a piece of cardboard, how could I unfold this so this can lay flat? Okay. I have a lot of weird angles here, but what I'm going to do, and these won't line up exactly, but this will get us started, is I'm going to take all the faces on the left side of this car, and I'm going to do what's called I'm going to map it with a projection, meaning like as if I were here and I took a picture of this side of the car. These would be close, like the face here would be close, and you kind of do it with a bit. It wouldn't be exactly, because this goes in and out, and we might be able to adjust that later. But under Create UVs, there's something called Planar Mapping, and you can do it by the camera. I could do one face, and I could actually go as perpendicular as possible to this face and get something more accurate, but I'm going to include everything on this kind of side profile of the car, and go in my, that's going to be my x-axis, and when I hit apply, you're going to see this little box come up, and you're saying, well, those aren't squares, and they're not. And the idea is, when it creates a projection, it's going to create it to the bounding box of your selection. So what we need to do, and you're looking at this in the UV editor, your UV map is always square, but your projection is the bounding box. So what we need to do is make this bounding box square, and then this will give an accurate depiction of the side of our car. It may not have made sense, but just bear with me. If I go to the texture editor here, or the attribute editor here, and I go to projection width and height, I go to the largest number of the two. This one is 18.2, and I usually round up 1 or 2. Go to 20 and 20, and now that projection is going to fit completely inside the UV space. And while I'm here, I might go ahead and rotate this 90 degrees. It's 180. Alright. So now you kind of see what I'm talking about. These are as square as possible. You notice right here, I still have some things that aren't quite square, and it's particular on this one, and that's because they're pretty angled. So as they angle up, I shot it flat here, so they're probably a little bit taller than they are here. So I could go up here and make some adjustments in my UVs. And I'm trying to match this shape, so because I took it at this angle, but in actuality it's got a little more height to them, so I can, as I pull these up, you can see how now that's a lot more accurate. See how they're as square as possible. Okay, I go to this one right here, has got some issues. And you can spend a lot of time on UV mapping, just so you know. But the idea is it doesn't have to be perfect, but it just has to be, well, it depends on what your model's for. You want it as perfect as you can get it, but just bear in mind that the idea is to get squares. So that looks good. That one looks surprisingly well. I thought it's kicked in a lot, but it still doesn't look bad. So and notice the rest of it still needs help. So once I've done one section of the car, I need to decide where do I want my seams, because I could do the same type of projection on the top, but because this, I can't attach everything, I'll probably just attach to the roof. Yeah, let's do that. So I'm going to do take all the ones on top here, and I'm going to skip the glass because it's so angled. I'm just going to do now. You notice I did some things different on this side than that, so that's fine. But and then now I'm going to do a projection on the top. So I go again and create UV. This time I'm projecting from the x-axis, and I apply. Now what's important now is that I need to, whatever I entered the first time, I don't round up to 17 and 17. I need to make this match whatever I did on my first projection, which was 20. So from now on, all projections need to be 20 so that they match up. So now I have this. I'm going to scoot this to the side here, and then I'm going to select this. There's a tool in here that'll select kind of everything that's bound, so I can bring this down temporarily, and I'm going to bring this down and kind of rotate it, and I can select this edge and that edge, and I can do this move and sew. Now notice when I did that, it went into it. What I need to do is I need to kind of flip this so this edge is on the top, and I think I do that like so let's select this and I flip it, and now I have to get out of that mode. I have to come over here and select the edge, and now when I'm moving, so yeah, it combined those two edges together. Next I need my windshields, and for these I'm going to do a projection by the camera, get as perpendicular as I can, and do a projection, and this time I'll do the camera, apply, and again I need to go and make these 20 each, 20 and 20, and see what that looks like. Then I can bring this, get these out of the way. I'm trying to get my windshield down here, and select the edge here and move and so, and you're seeing what's happening now. It's square, even though it's at an angle. It's still square. The angle isn't an issue. So you're seeing how this is slowly coming together, and now we have this other part of our hood here. And I can move and so that, which that was what happened is you can take a shot of the front or the back, and sometimes these need to be flipped, so because when I sew it, it's going into it, so I need to, let's try flipping that, see if that helps. And try that again. Yeah. Now this, we have an issue here. This edge and this edge, actually there must be there's something else in there that we didn't get. Yep, I missed it when we were doing our projection. So we could come back and reproject this whole thing with these guys. And so hopefully you're getting the idea here. I may skip the ahead, but I'm just going to keep doing each side of the vehicle in planar mapping. This time I would do this would be a Y, apply, go into our attribute editor. Now see how the T, this red T, is on the right side? If you can always have it so your T is on the left side, you don't have to do that crazy flipping. So we could go ahead and flip it now while we're in the planar projection, and I'll show you how to do that. So this rotate, if we do that 180 degrees in, what's this, Z? Yeah, Z, I'm sorry, 0, 180. So it flips that T to the right. And then we do our 20 by 20 in the projection width and height. And now let's come back. And now we right click and select edge. And once we're in this little shell tool, I can't stand this. This is annoying, but I have to go back and select this. I think Q is a shortcut key for that. So if you hit Q, it'll get off of that. But it's kind of annoying. But what I was going to say is this edge, that edge and that edge are the same, but if I begin to bring these edges to match, I'm going to start getting some distortion.